Yon, okay. So welcome po sa inyong lahat. And this is the new. Maraming salamat po at kayo ay nandito again to watch our latest episode dito sa The New. Yan. So once again, ako po si AJ Briones and kasama ko po dito ang isa po sa ating mga kasamahan dito sa The New Men na si John Rick. Okay, hi John Rick, musta ka? Yan. John Rick, naka-mute ka. Yan. Okay. Yan. Anyway, sige. Medyo ano lang tayo sa internet natin ngayon. But anyway, for the viewers ng... Yan, hi. Okay, good. Sige, so once again, for the viewers ng The New, welcome. Ako po ay medyo nagpahinga ng ilang araw. Medyo nagkaroon lang kami ng a few challenges in terms of our schedule. Pansin nyo naman po, medyo nag-change tayo ng schedule natin. But things have really been doing and actually been happening and been changing sa ating pong show for today. Welcome to our latest episode ng The New, and we are really happy po and really glad na kayo po ay aming nakakasama dito sa aming YouTube channel and also sa aming Facebook page. Okay, anyway, John Rick, ikaw, kamusta ka naman the past few weeks? Di ba, alam naman natin, sa inyo ba binahaba kayo or naapektuhan ba kayo nung recent na Typhoon Ulysses? Kamusta ka naman? John Rick? Yan, anyway, sige. Yan, medyo na ano lang si John Rick. Anyway, for everyone, ako naman po, share ko lang, kami po ay medyo one of those people na nabaha din dito sa may amin, dito sa aming, the place that kung saan kami lumipat. But with God's grace, medyo okay naman po kami. Not that much na ganun ka sobrang kalaki na damages ang nangyari sa amin, and we're really doing fine. But we would just like to inform everyone that we are praying for all of you.
Sorry.
If you have been affected by the ano. Okay, sige. Yes, Jendrick. Baga ng internet. Yeah, anyway, sige. Once again, we would like to tell all of you that we are praying for all of you na in the face of this pandemic. Kami po dito sa The New Men, we continuously believe that with God's grace and with God's power, tayo po ay magiging maayos, tayo po ay magiging safe, tayo po ay magiging mapupunta sa magandang sitwasyon. Yun lang naman po ang ating pagnanais at gusto nating mangyari sa ating lahat. Yan, okay, sige. Kukonek lang ulit si John Rick mamaya. Okay, sige. Kukonek siya and he will be back in a short while. Okay? Sige. Okay, sige, tutuloy lang ako. Anyway, for all of you, we are praying for all of you na kayo po ay naapektuhan nung pandemic ito. And I would like to encourage everyone to just really continuously pray for people who have been affected by this the pandemic, and not just the pandemic, but the recent Typhoon Ulysses, Typhoon Rolly. We know that it's not really that easy, but we know that with God's grace, kaya nating mag-overcome. You know what? Here at The New, we always believe that God is really in command, that God is in control, and He's gonna do a lot of things. He's gonna do wonderful things para po sa ating lahat. Okay, and as we move forward, tayo po ay ngayon sa isang napakagandang oportunidad. We are in this amazing opportunity sa ngayon. Tayo po ay mag-uusap or pag-uusapan po natin ang isang topic na has been there quite some time, but tulad po na tinatawag natin sa style natin sa The New, we are looking at it in a different perspective. Okay? Alam naman natin, pag-uusapan na tinatawag nating leadership has been something na marami tayong, some of us here may have considered ourselves as leaders in school or probably in our universities before. Not just in the universities, even sa ating locally, sa ating mga kung saan tayo nakatira. We've been talking about leadership, and people have aspired to become leaders, and people have made so much effort to become leaders. Or yung iba, hindi naman sila nag-effort, but in some sort of way, they transitioned directly into becoming a leader. And being a leader demands lots of not just responsibilities, but things that we have to do in order to provide change into the world that we belong to. Anyway, if you're watching our show for today, you can share with us through our Facebook page and also our YouTube page kung ano ang iyong sarili na leadership story. Ano ba yung mga ginawa mo as a leader, and how, and in a sense, how do you define ang pagiging isang leader? Anyway, as we are talking about that, we're dealing with and we are discussing about itong topic natin sa ngayon na tinatawag nating leadership. Okay? By the way, later po pala, hopefully makapasok po sa ating live show, okay? Makapasok sa ating live show ang ating mga kasamahan dito sa ating show. Anyway, I'm trying to monitor them maybe a few challenges or a few yeah. Anyway, John Rick will be back in a short while. He's just fixing the internet connection niya. Anyway, teka. Subukan natin siya ipasok. Yan. John Rick, are you still there? Nandiyan ka na ba? Yan, he's trying to connect. Let's just wait. Anyway, we just want to, yan. Nakamute pa siya. Anyway, we just want everyone to be safe. We just want to pray for everyone sa panahon ngayon na mayroon po tayong pandemic.
Narinig niyo ba ako ng maayos?
Yeah, I can hear you. I can hear you.
Paputol-putol eh.
Paputol-putol. Okay, sige, Janrik. We just try lang sa ano. Maybe you can try another internet connection or something. Baka meron ka dyan. Try mo ulit sa wifi nyo. Yan, okay. Sige. Okay, anyway, what we're gonna talk about today is a very interesting topic. We're now on our 13th episode. 13 episode ng The New Man. It's really, really amazing. Ito po ay talagang isang episode that I think that is really, 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 really important for all of us as we discuss, as we move forward, as we learn itong mga topics natin sa ngayon. Okay, so the topic that we have for today is actually what we call, the leadership gap. Okay, so a lot of times we say we've been hearing, we've been seeing, we've been actually so in a sense aware, or tayo po ay talagang sanay na dun sa idea Yan, okay, sorry, napapatigil ako. I just need to coordinate some stuff. Okay, anyway, so alam naman natin yan. We've heard about leadership for so many times, but the common struggle sometimes is that there is what we call a lack at times of what we call leadership. Napakadaming, in a sense, opportunities to lead, but a number of times when we look at the roster of the leaders, the spearheads of leadership, we only see a few people. Sadly, alam niyo naman yan, di ba? There are so many potentials, there are so many people who could be leaders, but not all get the opportunity to actually lead. You know what? Ako po ay experience ko bilang isang estudyante. It's really, really funny because not really funny, but really for me a bit alarming because in some certain organizations, in the big bodies that I belong to, if you would see, di ba, sa mga, for example, sa isang school, di ba? Magugulat kasi iba't ibang organization, the leader, for example, a member of the student council, okay? For example, the treasurer of the student council, he is also the leader, okay? The leader ng isang certain ministry or a certain group. So in a sense, the leadership posts are being handled multiply, okay, by a single person. Yun yung nangyayari minsan because there's what we call a leadership gap, as some people could say or actually would say. Nagkakaroon ng parang leadership gap na ganoon. And the goal here and the desire really is for leaders, okay? The desire really is for leaders, okay, to go beyond that. Di ba, Janrik? So anyway, Janrik, okay ka na?
Medyo.
Yan, medyo okay na yan. Okay.
Medyo nag-ano mo.
Yan. Anyway, Janrik, I was telling them yung topic natin sa ngayon is what about the leadership gap. Okay? So, di ba, ewan ko, I don't know, kasi tayong dalawa kasi, Janrik, we belong to at nanggaling tayo sa same school, tama? Wag mo na lang sabihin ko anong school. Tama ba ako? Yeah, okay. So, and the thing is, when it comes to leadership...
Sorry, malamig dito.
Okay lang. When we talk about leadership kasi, when we deal with or we hear about the topic of leadership. Habol daw si NJ sa atin. Okay, when we hear about and we deal with what we call leadership, ang usual na ano natin is that yung sinasabi ko kanina, Janrik, na pag kung iisipin mo, di ba sa school, si for example, sa school's vice president, ang student council niya, siya rin yung lalabas na, for example, pag pumunta ka sa ibang organization within the school, for example, the art club of the school, siya rin ang presidente. Or pupunta ka sa sports club ng school, siya rin ang presidente. So, there are so many opportunities or places where you can become a leader in a certain organization. And sadly, those multiple opportunities to become leaders is being not really, ang nangyayari kasi, kadalasan isang tao lang nag-handle. Okay? Not because sinaswapang or not because kinukuha lang nila para sa sarili nila, but rather, people are, in a sense, is only a limited number of people who are stepping up. And there are so many reasons kung bakit nakakapag-step out, hindi nakakapag-step up ang mga tao. And really, that's a real big challenge na kadalasan. Anyway, sa atin po dito, kayo po ba bilang isang leader, ano po ba, if you're watching our show for today, kung kayo po ay isang leader, if you are an individual who is facing challenges as a leader, kung ikaw po ay ganoon, ano po ba ang usually hesitation mo kung para kumuha ng isang leadership role? If you have that idea, you can please share it to our Facebook page and also onto our YouTube page para po tayo ay in a sense, para po tayo ay mas makapag para po tayo ay mas makapag-usapan, Anyway, talking about that leadership, what are those hesitations? Diba? Napakarami. Kasi ako po personally, bilang isang leader, the biggest hesitation that I had before was because of there were already people there. Ako personally, that's a big challenge for me. Because at the end of the day, there were the quote-unquote popular people who are actually not really hoarding, but rather they're already in the position. So in a sense, people are so accustomed or so used to these people. And in some sort of way, to go up the ladder, to become a leader for yourself, or to become to step up in the role of leadership becomes very challenging. Kasi alam naman natin yun as a leader, there are certain qualities that our people are looking for. There are what we call very materialistic perspectives, and there are about what we call abstract perspectives. Kunyari, in a very materialistic or a very physical perspective, sometimes leaders, yung mga pogi, magaganda, di ba? Kadalasan nagiging leader. Pansin nyo, no? I don't know about you, pero a number of the schools where I went to, yung mga presidente ng mga school, pogi. Probably because of the charisma, the charm, okay, na meron sila. And that becomes sometimes a qualification, okay? But not all. Of course, I'm not telling kung pogi ka, magiging leader ka automatically. But it has an advantage also. Some also look at the abstract perspective when it comes to leadership. Ano ba ibig sabihin ng leadership na to? Leadership wherein ito yung mga abstract personalities, for example, they're really trustworthy. They're people who are very, what you call this, assertive. Okay, not really aggressive, but rather assertive. What's in their mind, they can easily share it. They can easily communicate it. And some of them are really, in a sense, mayroong a certain level of this heavy charisma. They don't need to look very handsome or something like that. Pero when you talk to them, may dating, di ba? May dating. Ganun yung linya. Okay? And it becomes a very high standard sometimes for someone to enter the realm of leadership. And it becomes a challenging thing for people. And that's really what we're talking about, the leadership gap. And sometimes to say, when it comes to leadership, is that when there's already someone in a position, it's hard to take hold of a position because of the image that they're going to take over against another person. Okay? Because people are so accustomed, so used to this person, it's so hard to become a leader for ourselves. Yun po yung nasa isip natin. And sometimes that becomes a challenge for a lots of people. Well, anyway, so we're talking about the leadership gap. The thing that we're going to talk about here is actually raising up the next generation of leaders. Alam natin yun. The usual question is how do I become a leader? But one very important question that every leader should think about is how do I multiply leadership? How do I allow other people to enter the stage of leadership? How do I become a person who could help usher people towards the goal of becoming a leader as well? Because of course, kung tayo, naging leader na tayo, we of course, wala na yung level ng hesitation in terms of how we lead because we are already aware that we're leaders and because we already do leadership or we already act in leadership. But the thing is, people can enter that realm as well. So how do we become people, okay, who could actually lead or who could actually develop people towards that goal of becoming a leader? You know what? I've really read a number of books, but there's this thing that I really like, okay, na narinig ko. It's actually what we call the law of the lid. Kayo po ba, ng mga viewers natin ng dito sa The New, are you familiar or are you aware sa tinatawag po natin na law of the lid? It's actually a concept that is actually shared by this guy named John C. Maxwell. And it's really stating that leaders sometimes become the lid in terms of in enhancing the potential of the people that they lead. And you know what? I see it in this perspective, really, that sometimes the biggest hindrance for other leaders to rise up is actually the existing leaders. Let me say that again. And it's a bit controversial for some, that the biggest hindrance to raising up or building leaders are the leaders themselves. Ano po ba ibig sabihin ko dito? Kasi a lot of times kasi, the potential of people don't rise because there's already someone in that pedestal. And the thing here is this. As leaders, we have to learn and understand that one day we will step out of that scene. You know what? Ako po kasi dati, I used to be a leader of ministry in our church. You know what? And the tendency was that what I did was I led the technical team, setting up all of the computers, setting up this thing, creating the PowerPoints for the preachers, stuff like that. And you know what? I really, really love the feeling. Napakasarap. Ano nyo po ba napakasarap yung feeling the leader that people are actually relying on you? Ang nangyayari before was that every time na mayroon po kami mga events or mayroon po kami pangangailangan, for example, because I'm a born-again Christian, we do church in quite different places, okay? We meet up with the church in quite different places. Not the contemporary style na may malaking church building, the big cross on the top. I don't attend to church like that. Hindi po ganun yung setup ng church na inattendan ko. So we usually attend different places. And you know what? Sometimes even our kids ministry, we do it in different places. Anyway, John Rick's back. Okay? John Rick, nag-share lang ako dito ng mga experience about leadership. Anyway, going back lang sa sinasabi ko, John Rick, no? Ako kasi nanggaling ako sa church na it's a born-again church. Hindi siya tulad ng contemporary church. Wherein ang nangyayari, yung mga tao ay nasa isang church building ganon. I'm sharing that sa experience ko kasi sometimes nung naging leader ako ng isang ministry in the church, sometimes kung leader ka, ikaw ang palaging tinatawag. Okay? Kung may kailangan sa tulong doon sa projector sa kids ministry, I have to go to the other venue to do that. Kung meron kaming parang isang malaking event somewhere, ako ang tatawagan. In the middle of the night, or not really middle of the night, gabi, merong kailangang event for tomorrow, I'm the usual guy that they call. And you know what? It's really nice. Hindi masama at hindi pangit na mag-rely sa iyo mga tao. Tama ba, John? Hindi naman masama eh. Diba? No, it's really, really amazing. Napakaganda yung feeling na tayo ay pinagkakatiwalaan. But the end of the day, as time passed by, after a year or so, I started to think, wait a minute. Parami mga miyembro ng ministry, but there's only always one person that people are actually calling. And sadly, I'm saying the word sadly, it was me. You know what? It's good. It's a good feeling for me that people are relying on me. Pero at the end of the day, people need to rely on other people as well. Hindi lang in a sense, I have become a leader, pero partly naging swapang. You know what I did? Ako personally, John Rick. What I did was I left the ministry. I asked permission to leave. I had to leave it. I went to the point that I even left the congregation and transferred to another congregation na medyo anonymous ako. And you know what? Leaders started popping out. Diba? Kasi at the end of the day, I was like a lid. You know what? John C. Maxwell, sinabi niya dun sa ano niya, there's this thing called the law of the lid. And sometimes the leader is the lid to the potential of the others. The longer or the higher, the further away the lid is, the further away the potentials of people get to reach. Yun yung nangyayari. Yun yung dapat na ano. Ikaw ba, John Rick, have you been under leaders before, or have you actually led people before in your personal experience?
Oo. Siyempre, alam ko na alam mo yun. Kasi yung ministry natin sa faith before.
Yeah. Secret. Huwag sabihin yung church. Huwag sabihin yung grupo.
I mean, yan. Yung ministry before na part of.
Oh, yeah.
Yun. It gave me the opportunity para makapag-lead ng hindi lang iilan pero marami.
Marami, no? How many guys are we now? I think we are about 22, 23. 23 guys. Napakadami, no?
Oo, almost 30 eh.
Almost 30 eh. Very many guys yun eh. Anyway. But you know what? Ako personally, Janrik, let me just share with everyone. I'd like to honor Janrik in front of our viewers today. Because when I met Janrik, hindi ko siya kilala talaga. I didn't know him. Ang kilala ko yung mga barkada niya. Okay? Yun yung mga medyo, sila Bert. Medyo, si Robert, kasama rin natin si Danu. And Janrik was actually one of the anonymous guys para sa akin. Ang kilala ko lang si Janrik noon kasi siya yung kabarkada nila na napakatigas ng buhok. Yan. So, gano'n lang. But you know what? Here's one thing. I guess God impressed to me na, wait a minute, iba tong lalaking to. Janrick can have a potential to become a leader. So, I don't know. Siguro na-surprise ka nun, Janrick, no? Nung ikaw ang nilagay ko na parang head ng grupo. Nagulat ka ba nun?
Oo, hindi ako makapaniwala kasi alam ko kung gaano karami.
Yeah, but anyway, that's a big part of it, di ba? You know what? Sometimes there are tama ka dun eh. Hello, Janrick. Yan. Anyway, you know what, guys? Napakadaming people with potential, but they are not really given that much opportunity to lead. Okay, you know what? Ako personally, I'm really proud of you, Janrick, because when we were there in that certain institution, nakita ko that you have grown much more as a leader, and I'm very, very proud of you because of that. Okay, and I'm glad that you were also able to develop other leaders as well, and that's very, 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 very important para sa atin. Anyway, Janrick, ikaw ba, can you share with our viewers, ano ba ang experience mo dati bilang isang leader? What were your challenges? What were the things na you learned in your experience of leading? Lalo-lalo, napakadami tao nun, 30 people ng panahon na yon. And even, I guess, after that, nag-lead ka pa rin ng mga tao. What was your experience?
Siguro, yung personality ko kasi, hindi ako, hindi ko nakikita yung sarili ko na nag-lead.
Yeah.
Pero, it takes people to tell me na may potential ka. I always look at myself na parang hanggang dito lang. Pero when people tell me that you have potential, ganyan, I try to do my best. And siguro yung mga challenge doon is, since ganun yung personality ko, hindi ko pa, kumbaga gamay yung kung paano humawak ng tao, lalo na kung ganun karaming tao.
Yeah.
As a person kasi parang I keep my friends to like a certain numbers. So never ako, parang for me, ma-expose ka sa maraming tao. Nakakakaba siya. Pero yun nga, yung sinabi mo, it helped me grow yung leadership skills ko. And maybe during those years then and after, doon ko din na-develop yung ibang skills ko na hindi ko ina-expect na meron pala ako. So, yun lang. Parang very challenging siya. Oo. Lalo na kung marami kang hinahawakan, but it's also a good opportunity for you to, kumbaga, i-extend mo yung makakaya mong magagawa mo.
Yeah. It's opportunity, no? You know what? Napakagaling at napakasaya ng opportunity na tayo ay that we are able to serve people. You know what? Leadership, sabi nga nila, is not just being on top, but rather it's really serving people. And the leader's job really is to ensure, okay? Let me say that again, to ensure, okay, that the people who are with us are having what we call the common respect, the common opportunity to grow and become better. Ganun po ang tinatawag natin na leadership. And that's ako personally, that's how I see it. But as yung Janrick, as what we're talking about, is that leadership talks about becoming the limiter. Ano mo yun? Limiter. Diba? I don't know if you've watched this. I watched this cartoon. Actually, recently, I've been watching this cartoon. Binabalikan ko si Yu Yu Hakusho. In other words, in the Philippine market, they call it Ghost Fighter, di ba? You know what? I could remember this final season, the final season ng Yu Yu Hakusho na mayroon doong dumating yung mga tao ni Ryzen, yung mga kalbong monghe. Okay? And the biggest question was, Class S sila ng mga halimaw. The question is, paano sila nakapunta sa mundo? Limited sila doon. And then meron nakalagay sa kanila pala na parang living organism na kinakain yung spiritual pressure nila para bumaba. And you know what? Those are what we call limiters. And sometimes leaders become like that. We become the biggest limitations to the people that we train. And it's not necessarily a bad thing. Because as a leader, hindi naman kasi pwede na, for example, there's someone with potential, ilalagay mo na kaagad dyan sa isang big pedestal, challenging situation. Although it's good, pero sometimes we help them paunti-unti to become better and to reach yung mga na kailangan nila. Anyway, Janrick, ganito yun, in your experience ba, when you were starting out as a leader, what were the things that you personally had to get used to Okay? Ano ba yung mga inuunti-unti mo? In a sense na hindi kayong bigla, lang, ay, dapat ginagawa ko na kagad. Ano yung mga parang nagbuelo ka muna bago ka umakyat sa level talaga ng high-level leadership or doing stuff like that? Ikaw personally, as a leader. Especially in your campus before.
For me kasi, siguro, it's understanding that serving comes first before being a leader. Kasi if you don't know yung importance ng servitude sa mga tao under or sa mga tao na tinutulungan mo or under you, hindi ka magiging effective na leader eh. Kasi yun nga, for me it's really important na i-serve mo muna sila. Kasi as a leader, you are also tasked na maghanap ng isa pang leader.
Yeah.
Right? You will search for that person and you will mend that person to be a good leader as well. Pero there are different types of of persons or personalities, 'di ba? So hindi mo pwedeng gamitin yung isang bagay dun sa isang tao na to as to this other person. So you also the reason kung bakit kailangan mo mag-serve muna is for you to know yung mga distinctive qualities ng mga tao na hinahawakan mo. Like, this person, magaling siya sa ganito. Pwede mong i-develop, tulungan siya na i-develop yun. And so forth sa ibang tao. So, siguro for me, before I went to that time na talagang naging ganap na leader ako, I also thought of how I should serve the people first.
Yeah.
So, yun. Parang it's giving up yung mentality na ako yung leader, kayo yung susunod sa akin. It has to be, yung parang ako yung leader, sabay tayo. Sabay tayong aapak, sabay tayong gagalaw. Ganun. So, yun yung isa sa mga good lessons na
wow. Ako, I really, really like yung sinabi mo, no? Sabay tayong gagalaw. Wow. Kasi, alam mo ako personally, I've really seen so much things na I mean in this world today na parang leadership na parang when there's a leader, the tendency sometimes is hinahabol siya. Okay? I want to reach that person. I want to be like that leader. I want to reach this, diba? But sometimes we have to understand that leadership isn't really people following you, but rather people walking with you. Kasi sometimes we become our shadows overshadow them. But in order for leaders to rise up, we need to become people na hindi talaga nagiging ano sa kanya. Anyway, talking about that, as we are discussing that, ako personally, I was thinking, paano ba nga ba tayo magiging leaders? How do we become not the lead sa mga tao? Okay? And how do we institute or how do we change or how do we become people who are how do I say this? How do we become people who could actually exact change, okay? Exact change sa iba, okay? Who can become change. Anyway, talking about that, ako personally, I researched some points and I hope that we can share it with our viewers for today. Sa usapan, okay? Yan. Medyo nag-ano lang yung sa camera natin. Anyway, thinking about that, okay, ano nga ba yung mga bagay-bagay na pwede nating tandaan, okay, bilang isang leader, okay, in order to help people become leaders as well, okay? Ano ba yung mga bagay na yan? I think I shared it with you already sa ating private message, Jandrick. But, yeah, ano nga ba? Let's talk about that. How do we become people who could help others usher themselves to become leadership? Ako personally, ito yung first point. Okay, we got this online, and I think this is actually creative. I forgot the name it. The title of the show is a Creative Leadership Center for Creative Leadership. Ito po yung sinabi ni Center for Creative Leadership. First one is this: managing change. You know what? Here's the reality. Ito narinig ko to sa isang speaker before. It's a female speaker. By the name who goes by the name Varsha. What she said was, accept that situations will change. As a leader and you are raising up other leaders, accept change. Manage change. Tanggapin mo ang pagbabago. hindi sa lahat ng oras tayo bilang leader ay nasa harapan ng lahat. Because not all the times we will get the attention of others. Di ba, Janrick? Hindi sa lahat ng oras. You know what? It was a real... I have a big confession sa iyo, Janrick. It was really, really challenging for me before. Lalo na when we were running Cornerstone before. And I had to pass on because I was already not really a student before. I was a teacher already. I had to pass on the baton to you, literally. And I don't want to become the person behind it all, but rather you were the person behind it all. And that's really managing change, accepting the things and situations will change. Hindi na ako yung nandoon. Now, in terms of leadership, siyempre, alam natin yon. The responsibility, the opportunity to change society, the opportunity to change situation is no longer in my hands, but rather in the hands of the people who we lead and who will be with us. Talking about that, let's share now the second point. Paano ba tayo makakatulong or how do we become people who could help others exact change? Janrick, ano ba yung second point natin? Nakikita mo ba? What's that point?
Yung second point natin is all about inspiring commitment.
Wow,
so,
okay.
Yun, for me, inspiring commitment kasi commitment is a huge thing kung leader ka.
Mm-hmm.
Not just the commitment to be a good leader, but also yung commitment ng mga nagfa-follow sa'yo.
Mm-hmm.
So, inspiring commitment, there are a lot of ways na magagawa to. But, again, yung serving those people, I think would be the greatest commitment sa kanila, na makita nila, and yun yung parang magdadrive sa kanila na to be committed sa'yo. Sa lahat ng ginagawa nyo. Well, it's not all about you, but yung kung ano yung goals nyo as a team.
Yeah, you just pass on those goals, di ba? You inspire commitment. You know, as a leader, kasi people come and go. Alam natin yan. Members of a team sometimes go, but as a leader, we need to help inspire them to be leaders. Give them the vision that one day, hindi lang ako ang mag-lead. One day, you will also lead and you will become a part of this team. Yan, tama-tama yan. Talking about leading people, how do we help people go up and step up? It's this. Ako is leading people. You know what? Leading people, leading employees, leading your co-workers. You know what? In order to help people lead, you have to lead yourself. Sometimes it may be by means of directing, by means of coaching, by means of sharing to them ideas or things that they can do. But leadership is done by example. A lot of times, kasi when we become leaders, the tendency is this, do this, do that, do this, do that. But at the end of the day, what you say and what you do are not the same. You know what? As leaders, if you want to raise up leaders, lead as what we call an example to others. Kung ano yung ginagawa mo, whatever you're saying, do it. Walk the talk and also, walk always what you're walking. Kasi at the end of the day, ang tendency kasi sometimes natin is that it becomes so subjective, di ba, yung leadership, na parang nangyayari is that, ngayon itong standard ko in terms of leadership. But here's the reality. It should be black and white. The standards should remain the standard. But at the end of the day, there's a certain level of leniency din. Kasi not every time a certain thing applies to that always. So ano ibig sabihin nito? Integrity matters. Tandaan po natin ito, aming mga kaibigan na nanonood ng The New Men. Integrity, your integrity is a person. Nagiging what we call leaders, tayo po ay nagiging individuals who are actually leading people. Very important po yung tinatawag natin na kredibilidad mo bilang isang individual, bilang isang tao. Okay? Next one is this. January, could you please share the next point for our viewers? Teka, lagay ko lang para makita nila. Okay? The next point is,
taking initiative.
Wow, initiative. Ano kaya ibig sabihin nito?
So yun, syempre as a leader, you're called to lead.
Yeah.
And yung very definition nun is taking initiative or doing the first step. Kasi there might be people na under sa'yo na nahihirapan, and sometimes it takes it takes a good leader to step up.
Yeah.
Diba? To lead them to the right path or yung right example. So, yun, taking initiative.
Yeah. Passing on, di ba? Kasi since we're talking about making people, we're talking about helping people to become leaders themselves, initiative is very important. You know what? Sometimes kasi, ang tendency kasi ng mga leaders is that we tend to follow as well. Kasi leaders follow leaders. And the thing is, initiative matters, di ba? You need to make your own move. You need to do something for yourself. Kung kayo po, you're an aspiring leader, initiative is important. Do not wait for people to tell you to do things, but rather do things because you have to do things, because it needs to be done, it should be done, and because it's the right thing to do. And sometimes, some decisions of leaders are difficult. Tama ba dyan, Rick? Sometimes, di ba, ibang decision na gagawin natin, difficult. Sometimes, the decisions we make, the initiatives that we make will not be like many people. Parte po ng buhay yun. Parte po ng pagiging leader yun. You don't become a leader to become popular. You don't become a leader to become completely likable by others. You know, ako po personally, I had leaders before that I did not really like. Di ba, Jandrick? Ikaw rin. I don't know kung gusto niyo ako dati, but there are people that we don't like. Diba? And we don't agree with all the time. But at the end of the day, the goal, the desire to create change, to inspire change, to make change sa mundo, it's still over there. Hindi natin siya dapat kalimutan at hindi natin siya pwedeng pabayaan. Anyway, let's go on to the 5th point para sa ating episode for today. Ako na rin mag-share nito. Okay? The 5th point is, nawala ako. The building collaborative, okay? Building collaborative relationships. Ulitin ko in order for you to build up leaders, in order for you to bridge the leadership gap, build collaborative relationships. Iba yung sinasabi natin, build relationship. Kasi as a leader, of course, there's a relationship. Diba? Of course, people deal with you. Of course, people talk with you. Of course, people relate with you. But the thing is, collaborative, yun. It should be collaborative, meaning working together. It's not just your ideas, my ideas, that matters as a leader. But rather, the ideas of all of the members of the team matters as a leader. Ikaw, John, ano tingin mo doon? Do you think it's really important to consider the ideas of others as a leader?
Yes. Kasi yun nga if you're a good leader, you should also consider yung opinions ng ibang tao. So, dapat yung mentality mo to move na ikaw lang yung gagalaw. Wala din Dapat you move together. So, you have to collect all of the ideas na maaring maibigay ng mga tao or opinions ng mga kasama mo.
Oh, yes. Tama yan, ano? Napakaganda rin sinabi mo, Hindi lahat ng oras, ikaw lang ang tama. Hindi lahat ng oras, you know what to do. Because you will always need other people. You know what makes a team better? It's not a leader. Alam ko sino dyan, Rick? It's the team. Every member of the team joins, every member of the team matters, every member of the team si Ingemar baka pumasok.
Oo nga.
And anyway, every member of the team matters. Lahat po ng mga miyembro ng ating team matters. Everyone can become a part of it. Everyone should be there. Everyone could actually, who is a part of the team, should always be, in a sense, always be a part of it. In a sense, yung perspective talaga ng bawat isa is very, 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 very important. Okay, what's the next point, Janrik? Let's share it na.
Next is having a strategic perspective.
Wow.
So, for having a strategic perspective, siguro ito yung perspective mo as a leader, yung ideas mo and opinions mo as a leader, hindi siya dapat nagbabato na ikaw lang.
Yeah.
It has to be kaya siya strategic perspective is because gagalaw kayo together, hindi lang ikaw. Siguro yung example nito is yung perspective mo as a person, as a leader, na ikaw lang yung gumagalaw or ikaw lang yung nagfa-function, parang sa katawan lang din yan eh, 'di ba? Hindi gagalaw yung kamay mo without yung brain mo na sinasabi na igalaw yung kamay mo. That also works with yung mentality mo or yung perspective mo as a leader. Na you cannot, hindi ka pwedeng gumalaw ng ikaw lang, ng ulo lang. Kailangan mong gumalaw as a whole. Para magawa mo yung mga dapat mong magawa.
Wow. Diba? Considering everything, you know what? Being strategic is very, very important in Janrik. I do agree with you. Diba? Na you have to think about every action, that you have to do everything accordingly. You know what? There are so many points to consider. You know what? Decisions are not made ano ba term do? Ng biglaan. Pinag-iisipan siya mabuti bilang isang leader. It's very, very, very important. Okay, the next point. Okay, number 7 na tayo. Grabe, ma-action tong usapan natin, di ba? Okay, ano ba to? Ano sabi mo kanina ba? No, having what we call a strategic perspective. Nakikita mo ang iba't ibang anggulo ng mga bagay-bagay. In connection to that, napakaganda naman ito. In connection to that, having a strategic perspective. So number 8 na ba tayo? Point number 8 na ba?
Number 7.
Number 7 pala. Okay. Point number 7, okay? It's knowing, okay, what we call the strategic planning. Ano ba sa kumpanya? Sa kumpanya namin, I'm the one who's usually working with the strategic plans, okay? Ako po yung gumagawa ng mga balance scorecard. I don't know, with your company may ganoon. And you know what? You do strategies to move forward. You look at different perspectives, but the question is this, doon sa mga perspektibo na nakikita mo, okay, with those perspectives that you see, what do you do about it? I don't know. You know what? Ako personally, I don't know if you are like me. Ako Janrik. Alam mo, di ba, I used to be a skateboarder. I used to do some breakdancing, ganoon. Ako personally, doon muna ako sa skateboarding, sa extreme sports. You know what? Ako personally, a lot of times, mapupunta ako sa isang skate shop. Okay? And I see mga parts ng skateboard na gusto ko, thinking about it. Pero during those days, ako po isang estudyante pa. So I'm not earning any money. So I'm living off the allowance or if ever kung may makuha ako for my parents, binibigay nila sa akin. And I would tend to say to myself, oh no, that's a real good skateboard. Yung Spitfire, for example, the wheels for example, ng skateboard.
Dependent.
Diba? I can't get that. That's my perspective before. There is this dream, there is this perspective, there is this certain view, but the tendency of mine is that I don't look at the other view. The tendency of mine is this, ba't hindi ako nag-save? Ba't hindi ako nag-set aside ng kahit 20 pesos? Kahit 20 pesos. Or 100 piso kada, for example, a week or so, just to get money to buy that. It's very, really, really possible. That's a strategic plan. Planning. Knowing what you're supposed to do. Diba? Sometimes in the leadership experience, kung kayo po ay nag-aspire kayo na maging leader, okay? There's nothing wrong about that. That's amazing. But the question is this. Have you sat down and considered what you're gonna do? There's this person in the Bible, I forgot his name. I think it was Nehemiah. Sabi ba yun, Janrik? Yung dun sa Bible, yun si M. M's here. Injamar, are you there?
Yo,
okay. Camera mo, bro. Anyway, going back. I don't know, guys, if you could remember, this character in the Bible, okay, si Nehemiah. Okay, si Nehemiah, teka, wait lang, Yan, nandiyan yung video niya. Bro, Injamar, balik tayo sa sitwasyon natin. Mute mo pag hindi ka nagsasalita.
sige.
Okay, sige. Okay, so tama ba guys? Si Nehemiah, yun yung nag-rebuild ng wall ng Israel. Tama, no? You know what? Before he started building the wall again, what he did was he walked around, sat down, and considered the expenses, considered the expanse, kung gaano kalayo yung location, yung pupuntahan, parte po yun. Okay? And that's a big part of leadership, no? Na as a leader, you have to look at the certain situations and act accordingly. Diba? As a leader, parting-parte yun ng mga bagay. Ikaw ba, Ingemar, bilang isang individual or bilang isang leader, okay? Ingemar, ano ang, in a sense, what were the things you personally had to look at ibang perspective? Diba? May mga bagay ka ba sa buhay mo bilang isang leader, bilang isang individual, na kinailangan mong bumuelo muna? Hindi ka muna nag-act, pinag-isipan mo muna kung dapat mo siyang gawin in terms of leadership. Nakamute ka, bro. Nakamute ka.
Oo naman, bro. Hindi naman, kasi, ayan, okay na?
Yeah.
Okay. Oo naman, kasi lahat naman tayo, kailangan talaga nating mag-back down. There's a time na kailangan nating pag-isipan mabuti yung mga magiging decision natin. Kasi hindi na tayo bata, hindi na tayo para nung mga bata pa na tayo lang yung maapektuhan. Mostly na ngayon ng mga decision na ginagawa natin, hindi lang tayo maapektuhan, pati yung mga taong nakapaligid sa atin or yung mga naniniwala sa atin. So, para ma-retain yung trust na yun, kailangan natin pag-isipan yung mga sasabihin natin.
Wow. That's good, That's really, really good, ano? I do agree with what you said. Ikaw rin, Jandik, I believe you agree with that. Because as a leader, you don't think about yourself anymore. Diba? Tandaan po natin, if you're an aspiring leader, if you want to become a leader one day, or if you are actually currently a leader right now, we have to accept this reality that whatever action we make, whatever thing that we do, okay? Kung ano man po ang gagawin natin, may mga taong maapektuhan. There will always be people who will be affected by whatever decisions that we make or the things that we do. That's a big part of leadership. That's why you need to look at perspective. Diba? Ako personally, that's one thing that I had to think about when my family and I had to transfer. I wanted to transfer how? I wanted to try and transfer, look for a place where I could live or transfer. Pero you have to think about your family. Ano ba mas makakabuti sa aking pamilya bilang isang taong kasal na, bilang isang leader ng pamilya? You have to think about and consider them. Diba? A lot of times kasi as a leader, you have to think about anong kapakanan ng mga tao. Diba? Going back, point number 8. Okay lang mabasahin mo itong point number 8. Ano ba yung point number 8 natin?
Saglit, nasan ba?
Yan, sa screen.
Embracing participative management.
Wow, okay, di ba? Embracing.
Tama ba?
Yes, tama. Okay. So, in terms of leadership, share ko lang. Okay lang. In terms of participative management, ikaw ba, John Rick? Okay. Ano ba ibig sabihin sa'yo pag sinabi mo participative management?
Participative management, for me, it's involving yung mga tao around you.
Wow.
So, it's managing those people to be part nung paggalaw. Hindi lang yung ikaw lang yung gagalaw.
Wow.
So, yun. It's embracing participative management. Hindi niya sinabi na accept eh. Sinabi niya embrace.
Wow.
So, kailangan i-instill mo yun sa attitude mo as a leader na it's not all about you anymore. It's about us as a movement. So, yun.
Leadership, very interesting, di ba? It's like, ano ba to? Rubbing elbows or nagkakaroon ng friction. You know what? Friction is normal in terms of leadership. Diba? Lalong-lalo na when we talk about, kasi we're talking about leadership gap eh. We're developing other leaders to step up. Tandaan niyo po to darating ang araw na ikaw at ang dinedevelop mo ng leader ay hindi mag-agree. That's the truth. That's a big reality. Diba? Na kung saan, if you're developing a leader, one day, this person that you will leading will have the guts to tell you, I will not agree with that. I do not like that. And sometimes as a leader, nakaka-offend yun. Di ba? Totoo man o hindi, truth man o hindi, or in a sense, it would be, having someone to disagree with what we're saying is painful, hurtful at times. But it's a big part of leadership. Parte po ng pagiging leader yon. Na people will not agree with us. Sino dito nanonood kayo recently? Ako, I'm watching this show in Netflix entitled, what's that show? Entitled Star Trek Discovery. Napapanood niyo ba yun?
Star Trek.
Star Trek. Hindi mo pa ba Star Trek? Anyway, kailangan si Star Trek, di ba? If you guys are familiar with Star Trek, right? Di ba? It's the space age series, di ba? Ito kasi iba na to kasi yung preview sa Star Trek, medyo nerdy na naman ako. Okay. Yung Star Trek kasi before was iba yun It talks about the Enterprise, yung ship nila. Itong ibang ship na to, which is entitled Discovery. Meron kasing dalawa doon si the leader, the captain, and then with the captain is his first officer. So silang dalawa yung leaders. But a lot of times the captain and the first officer do not agree. Hindi sila nag-agree. A lot of times. And you know what? That's normal in terms of leadership. If the person that you're leading, developing will not agree with you, that's fine. But at the end of the day, it's not about to agree to disagree, but rather to decide together to decide on something. Ako personally, I don't believe and I don't really like. I mean, I do believe it's applicable at times, di ba? Kayo ba guys, can you share with our viewers habang ako ilalabas na mag-restroom lang sandali? Can you guys share with everyone here yung perspective nyo doon sa, do you agree with the idea of agree to disagree? Okay, ikaw muna, Ingemar. Yeah, as I just go to the restroom sandali.
Sa akin, para dun sa idea na yun, agree to disagree kasi tama naman hindi naman lahat ng decision natin is tama. So, minsan nga may mga tao or may management talaga na ginagawa nila, hahanap sila ng taong ang magiging trabaho lang talaga is to disagree with them. Example, kung meron akong napanood dun may napanood ako nun na nakalimutan ko yung title. There are 10 of them na magkakasama sa isang kumpanya. Siyam yung talagang nandun, part ng company. Tapos, dahil sa lahat sila is parang ang sinusunod lagi is yung sinasabi ng boss. Yung boss, kumuha ng 10th man. Yung 10th man na yun, ang trabaho lang niya talaga is to disagree to whatever the boss is saying. Hindi to disagree to create hindi gumawa ng gulo. Nagdi-disagree siya para mas mapag-isipan pa yung decision. Para may concession kasi kung lahat na lang sila susundin kung ano yung sinasabi ng boss, there might be a time na biglang nagkamali si boss, isisisi nila lahat sa kanya. Or better yet, baka anong mangyari dun sa company. So, kumuha yung boss nila ng 10th man na siya yung magde-disagree para mapag-isipan palalo ng grupo yung decision. Until yung 10th man na yon, siya na lang yung nagdi-disagree. Tapos lahat na sila is talagang agreeable na naman. Yun. It doesn't really make it wrong na merong nagdi-disagree. Sometimes it would help para mas mapagdesisyonan or makita yung full perspective ng isang bagay. Especially if it's going to be something na maapektuhan yung buong organization.
Siguro share ko lang din. Sa isang, for example, sa isang IT company, di ba? Or sa isang company. Kasi there are two types of hackers mga IT at saka mga comsci dyan. Alam niyo yan. There are two types of hackers. There's a white hacker and a black hat hacker. Normally, yung mga white hat hacker, kinukuha sila ng mga companies to see kung ano yung loopholes ng security ng isang company. So siguro to add lang dun sa point ni M, no, it's good to have negative and positive comments or negative or positive sides about something,
Feedback.
especially kung leader ka, kasi you are overseeing a lot of things eh. You're managing a lot of things, marami kang kino-consider, and you have to know kung ano yung different sides about dun sa plans mo. So that's why there's always a good opportunity na kapag nakarinig ka ng something negative or somebody is not agreeing dun sa plano mo, it just means na may loophole na kailangan kang i-fill up. Or there's something na kailangan yung i-work together para ma-reach yung goal na yun. So, yun lang. Yun lang yung point ko for that.
Yan ang galing ng loophole that you need to work on together. Okay? Kasi a lot of times kasi when there's a disagreement or may mga pinag-disagree, okay, it's just a big part or parte lang yun ng pagiging ano. Ako personally, guys, when we talk about to agree to disagree, there are times wherein I know there are points like that, but for me, it doesn't end there. Okay? Kasi the tendency sometimes is if you agree to disagree, it talks about stalemate. Alam niyo sa chess, stalemate? Diba? Na habang ibig sabihin kasi na stalemate sa chess is that kahit anong move nyo, dumating kayo sa point na tigisan na lang kayo ng tigisan na lang kayo ng, what do you call that? Ng chess piece. And then wala nang ever mananalo. That's a stalemate. Diba? And that's what we call agreeing to disagree at times. And sadly, when that happens, there is no resolution. Okay? So ako personally, I'd rather, yes, there are what we call situations wherein it becomes, I agree to disagree, but it needs to move forward beyond that. Na lahat po tayo bilang individual, what we need to think about is this. We agree to disagree, but we also need to work together to agree on something. We need to work together to have a resolution. If we don't agree on this as a solution, what can we both agree in to become or to make it into something better? Okay? That's a big part of leadership. Ako personally, that's what I believe in. Okay? Anyway, if you're a leader out there, if you're an individual who wants to lead people, it's okay. It's okay to voice out your point, to voice out your mind. Iba-iba din. For example, kaming tatlo nila, M, and also ni Jandrik, we have different perspectives, we have different views. Iba-iba po kami paniniwala, but it's a big part of leadership. Anyway, the last point, okay, share ko lang din sa lahat. Okay, as we move forward, okay? The last point is this. Be a quick learner. Parte yun. If you want to become a leader, if you want to bridge the leadership gap, learn. A lot of times, that's why we can't learn and we can't become leaders is because we refuse to learn. We refuse to follow the standards. We refuse to understand the situation. Tandaan niyo po ito. Wala pa po akong nakikitang leader, okay, that really progressed really well nang walang natutunan. Look at it that way. Wala pa pong leader, wala pa po ako nakikitang leader who progressed as a leader and told it, wala akong natutunan sa aking journey sa pagiging isang leader. Tama ba, guys? Lahat eh. I believe the both of you have been in leadership posts before. And the biggest part is this, you always learn. Sabi na nga nila, walang bagay, there is no such thing as zero knowledge or zero learning. There is always a certain level of learning. Diba, guys? Diba? Okay. Anyway, so those are the points. Okay, those are some points that we got from the leadership in terms of the leadership gap. Anyway, as we close, okay, closing na tayo. Okay, as we close our discussion for today, in terms of raising up, okay, and developing leaders, I'd like to hear from you guys also. What is your final message para sa ating mga viewers sa ngayon in terms of leadership? Let's start with M. Ano ba ang gusto mong i-share sa ating viewers ngayon in terms of leadership for them to be reminded in order to help them step up as leaders and for leaders out there in developing other leaders?
Para sa akin sa mga upcoming leaders is to be confident enough but not pero hindi yung confident na lalaki na yung ulo mo. Confident na alam mo kung ano yung ginagawa mo and you have accountable partners and accountable leaders na papagsasabihan mo para every time na may decision ka is may assist ka nila sa pag-assess ng decision na yon, and they can help you to improve it or to give a positive or negative feedback when it comes to that decision that you're making. Tapos sa mga current leaders naman is not most of the time we leaders are thinking straight. Minsan dahil sa pressure ng pagiging leader, mas prone tayo for mistakes. And hindi natin napapansin, mas more na nakikita yon ng mga nililid natin. So, whatever their comments are, we should be more than willing to open our ears para pakinggan. Tapos i-assess din yung sinasabi nila. Isipin natin, kung tayo matagal nang nililid sila tapos nag-voice out sila na hindi maganda yung sinabi mo, do you think ginagawa nila yon dahil sa gusto ka nilang kutsain or dahil sa tagal nyong sa tagal nyong nagkakasama, sa tagal mong nag-lead sa kanila, doon nila napansin na iba yung sinasabi mo from what you were telling them previously? So doon mo makikita na oops, pareho tayo. Pag-isipan natin to. Kasi kung dati-rate, itong mga nalilid ko sa tama, mukhang napansin nila na papunta tayo sa kaliwa. Kailangan nating dumiretso ulit. So, yun. Discuss it with them, and especially, sabi ko nga kanina, kung may accountable partners kayo, better yet na discuss it with them para alam nyo kung ano yung napapansin na din ba nung ibang leaders sa iyo yung napansin sa inyo ng mga nililid.
Ganda nun accountability is a big message na sinabi ni Angel Mar. Ako naman, bago si John Rick, ako muna. Ako personally, a final message for our viewers for today is this. Leadership is not always easy. Okay? It's never easy to deal with people. It's never easy to make decisions. It's never easy to be not liked by people because of your decisions. Expect that and accept the truth that people will not always like you. And that leadership is not about being liked, but rather leadership is about helping people find what they like. Diba? Helping people find what they like about the situation, helping people find what they like to do for themselves in order to become better people. Yun lang naman yun eh. Leadership is making the quote-unquote leader, okay, become a bridge for others. How about you, Janrick?
Well, first is dun sa mga existing leaders. For all of those existing leaders, your mindset should not be you've reached the line. Mm-hmm. You've reached the top. You should always think that this is an opportunity for you to grow as well, mm-hmm. and to learn a lot of things, mm-hmm. as you journey yourself papunta while being in that position. Don't abuse the power. Never abuse the power. Learn to love the people that are working with you, and yung common goal nyo as a group or as a company or kung ano man yung group nyo, makukuha nyo yun if you would work together and move together. So yun lang, just always be humble and realize na there are a lot of things na maaari mong matutunan if you let yourself open up dun sa mga ibang tao. And for those naman sa mga aspiring leaders, or siguro nakikita nyo na hindi naman ako leadership material eh. I don't believe that. I always believe that everyone is meant to be a leader.
Yeah.
Everyone is meant to be a leader. It's just a matter of us stepping out of the comfort zone. Knowing na yun nga, yung sabi nga ni M, you have to have yung mga accountability partners mo to lead you dun sa mga tamang steps. And yun lang, just don't be afraid to go out of the comfort zone. And sa mga aspiring leaders, yun, always look at examples ng mga ibang leaders. And when you reach the top, when you reach to that point na leader ka na, again, remember that you're not at the top of the world. Yeah, you're not at the top of the world. Always put yourself down. Yeah.
You have to understand also na when people look at you, you become a picture also of what a leader is. And you impact the whole worldview of a certain person in terms of leadership. You're not on the top. You're not on the pedestal. You're in the ground where people can see you. So act accordingly. Di ba? Parte yun ng pagiging leader. Yan. Okay, so with that, we all learned a lot, okay, from our talk about the leadership gap. You know what? There is no... Ito, tandaan nyo lang po lahat to, aming mga viewers dito sa The New Men, is that kahit na hindi kayo parte ng grupo, you can become a leader on yourself. Lead by example, be the right person, lalo na sa panahon ngayong kalamidad and also sa panahon ngayong pandemic. Become the change that our country needs. A lot of times, marami yan, sinasabi natin, hindi, magiging okay ang Pilipinas pag nagbago ang presidente. Hindi, magiging okay ang Pilipinas pag nagbago ang si boss ko. Hindi, ganito. But here's the thing. Regardless kung hindi magbago man siya o hindi, ano ang gagawin mo? Ulitin ko sa mundo natin na maraming problema, meron tayong hindi gusto, siguro ng araw, ano ang gagawin mo bilang isang leader? What impact? Kasi the president or anyone else out there, regardless kung gusto mo siya o hindi, he will do something to make an impact to the world and to the country and to other people's lives. But the question is this, ano ang impact mo na ginagawa sa mundo natin ngayon? And with that, here at The New Men, as we all create an impact in the life of other people, we always believe that in this new world that we are facing, that we all need to be ready. As we always say here at The New, as we end our show for today, we want to tell you guys to let's get ready for the new.
The new.
Yeah.
Sorry,
Okay, so ulitin nga natin. Alam mo guys, hindi natin masabay-sabay yan. Sabay-sabay. Let's get ready for the
new.
New. Ayan. Okay. Bye, guys.
Bye, guys.